indeed. Boop. Sweet. All right. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let me pull this up. That's what we had. We left off with that, and we left off, just going to make sure it's running, getting all the data, got all of our data. Sweet. So, move this over a little bit. Position this a little bit. No. All right. So, we're going to continue with building out the routes. And the routes that we need to build are to show. The next route we'll build is a show route. And the show route is to show a specific user. All right, that's what we're looking to do. We want to show one specific person. Inside of our routes file, right? That's where we're going to start. All of our routes start here. We are going to get /people, that's the routes, :ID. As of right now, that should look almost identical to what we did in Express, right? :ID is going to represent a parameter, right? We'll see that later. Parameter of people, (2). Where are we going? Well, we will be going to the people controller. What method do we want to execute? The show method. Okay? So slack this out. We got to create it, saving it, making sure everything's there. Obviously, if I test it now, we should error out. Right? I was like, hey, people, one, boom. Action show could not be found for people controller. Pretty intuitive error message, right? The action show could not be found because we have not created the show method. Okay? So once again, playing with these error messages, pretty intuitive. This one seems pretty much more intuitive than some of the other ones where they showed you the code. This is just saying the thing doesn't exist. Okay. 10, 11. Looks good. Ultimately, what we're going to have to do is run a SQL command, right? SQL command, and something like this looks pretty intuitive to what you've been working with thus far. Yesterday was all of that. Select star from where. And in this instance, we're just going to say where ID is equal to something, and we're going to get back that information. Okay? Now, this is going to happen in the persons. So here's our model. Here's our persons. Wish I swapped these around. No biggie. All right? Goes here, and then I'll hit the model. So let's go into our our model to create it so that we have access to it. All right, so the left, we are going to do a find. So this is our self, right? Just closing it up. That itself is for the all method. And now here we'll do a def self.find. We're going to be passing in an ID at some point in time. And we'll end it. Okay. We are going to create results is equal to db dot execute opening and closing parens and quotes. We're just going to run our select statement here. Select star from people where ID is equal to hashtag ID. Semicolon, right? This query right here will then run, return if it finds something, it'll return it to us, and we will return the thing that it returns, right? So let's do ID and results dot first ID dot to underscore integer name results dot first name. Since that is a string, we don't have to do anything there. Age results dot first age to integer. Okay. Looks good. First verse, just look for any misspellings. Looks pretty good. Okay. I'm just going to test it, make sure it works, then I'll paste the code. I just want to make sure it works, then we'll go back. I'm going to go into the people controller and just create a new method called show. And in show, we are going to render, okay, JSON again. JSON. We're going to call the person model. We are going to call the find method. And we're going to pass in params, because we did pass something in. And we're going to pass in the ID that was passed in. Okay, so obviously params is an object since we're referencing the key in brackets, right? All right, just want to test that this works. The files are saved. I'm going to go here. Get rid of this algo practice. Go here. All right, so here's my URL. Let's make it a little bigger. If I do number 2, I'll get back second person. If I do number 3, I'll get back the third person. It's going to make sure my normal route works. I get back all people. Okay. So let me select this out. This gets add this method to person.rb. Okay. And add that to the person. That's our model file. And then add this method to people controller.
My page isn't like showing anything, or it's showing stuff, but it's like, do I need to restart my Rails or something, or PSQL? Because I feel like it's not refreshing properly.
Now, were you able to render all of the users when we left? You were. Okay. Yeah. So how about this? Why don't you share your screen? I'll take a look while everyone's kind of working on it. Let's see.
Just unshare for a second.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Thanks.
There we go. Go ahead.
Because
we'll fix it.
shouldn't it come just one right here?
Should be people/1. Right, because you do have one. You do have an ID of one there, right? So there is some. There you go.
Never mind. I guess I don't know.
Look, I fixed it. It's like I got magic, like third sense, kind of like just bring me in vicinity of it. Okay. Now I don't have those kind of powers, Jake. I wish. All right. Looks good. Easy enough, right? I mean, I almost have to say how easy at this point does Rails seem compared to all that you had to do with Express, right? Express required a lot of additional work. Rails facilitates that. Make a few changes, everything's working. Well, we got 10 so far. So again, I want to make sure everyone's, we don't need that anymore. Everyone's able to choose different users to return. And, you know, if you try to return someone, you know, if I try to return number 10, doesn't exist, right? This is, hey, we got a problem here, right? No method, an error, people controller. It cannot find this. So it errors out, okay? Obviously, that's not what you would want to show the user, right? If you're looking for something that doesn't exist, you don't want to shoot that error. So we'd have to have some sort of control mechanism in place. If it doesn't return, shoot them this, an empty array, right? 16 looks pretty good.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah, what's up, man?
The part that we're returning, we have results.first. What is first doing?
So first is it's a way of pulling out that first element, because what does the question would be like, what does this return to us, right? So it's going to return an array, and we're going to grab the first thing out of that array. So it's really like grab the first thing and its ID. If we did, let me just take a look. If we did, Ruby dot first, let's see, first element of an array, or dot first method. So Ruby, you just see dot first method. Let's see, right? Because that's it. Results is an array. So first enumerable. I'm going to say first an array. I think so. So this, yeah, dot first. So here, dot first returns the first thing in the array. So it looks like this method allows you not only to return like the first, but we could say the first two things in the array. I'd have to take a look and see how many possible things are being returned. I can't imagine there would be more than one thing, right? Because IDs in a database are going to be unique. They're going to be generated by the database. I mean, when we did it in Mongo, it did it as this crazy hash. And here, our IDs are really being returned to us as like numbers as of right now. And the numbers will keep growing as we add things in there. Those numbers won't be repeated. But we're just using it to say, give me back the first thing in the array. I suppose we could have used 0, bracket 0, and that would return the first thing, and then we could use brackets again, right? So maybe we could have done it similar to this, results 0 to get the first thing, dot first, 0, and then ID, right? Which one, if you had to like make a decision on which one looks more intuitive, which one would you choose to use? Just based on the way it's written.
Well, the word first is more user-friendly.
Okay, yeah. And what I'm assuming is the person that decided to come up with this method, I don't know if Ruby had this method when it was first created, right? Maybe this is a method that came out later on in Ruby, and someone's like, hey, I just really want to grab the first or the first couple or the last, or the last couple. So I'd have to even take a look at to see, is a Ruby dot first method makes you think that there's going to be a last method. I don't know if there is. Yeah, but there's a last method. So hey, grab the last thing in the array or the last two things. Pretty cool that you can get from the beginning, you can get from the end, right? So the methods are intuitive, and we're trying to convey that here. Well, good question, right? I mean, I just typed it out, and I'm like, everyone knows these methods now. That's kind of why I like Ruby, and the fact that these methods just make writing code easier, reading it more intuitive, right? It's just understanding the construct of it, coming from JavaScript and then coming to this and then seeing this do loop and with these lines to like put the param in there. It's like, well, what's going on with that? That's kind of weird. They just do it different. That's all. It's still pretty cool language. All right, looks like everyone's good. All right, so it's pretty awesome. We're able to create these two routes. Now we're going to move on to our create, right? So our gets right now, get everybody get one, right? And now we need to create. So part of the CRUD, we're going to do the C, create. We just finished the read, right? Read all, read one. And now we're going to create one entry, right? So we're going to go in here into our routes again. The method, pretty intuitive, post. We know that we have to post something. We are going to hit the people route, right? We don't have to give it an ID. We are going to be giving it data, right? We are going to be sending data. And we are going to be sending it to the people controller create method, okay? I'm going to save that. Now, obviously, we can't simulate that here, like, hey, how do I create it here? We can't do that here. We don't have a form right now. So we're going to be working with, in just a minute, we'll be working with Postman to do this. But before we do that, let's take a look. Let's go to our model. So move this up here. It's going to show the post route. Move this people controller up. I'm going to move the model up. Okay. So in our model, I'm going to collapse our find, right? So makes it kind of cleaner to collapse them so I don't see everything kind of where are all these ends, where do I end something. So let's create another method, def self.create, and we're going to give it some values, right? Some options, okay? So again, just like find by ID took in something that was given to it, right? This is going to take in something, and we'll see that in just a minute. Now, when we create this thing, right, we have to run the insert into, you did this a bunch of times yesterday, right? Insert into people. These will be the keys, name and age. And then values will be those corresponding values. Like this will be matched up with name because of position. This will be matched up with age because of the position. I think there was a question yesterday when Matt was demoing it, like, do we need to send all the values? What if we don't send all the values? How does it know? In this instance, it's doing it based on position, but there are ways to do it based on representing the key name and then the value. So there's different ways to write this syntax. We're going to stick with this. And then the returning will just return those values that we want to see. The user's created, give me back the ID, the name, and the age, okay? And then we will return those results, right? So I'm going to go here and I'm going to say results is equal to db.execute. Now, things look a little weird here, right? It's like, I don't know, 2 greater than signs, or 2 less than signs, dash, SQL. Like, what is this? I'm just going to write it out. SQL. Go to the next line. I want to end this SQL. It's just a format of saying that instead of writing a SQL command like this in one straight line, which we could, right? And then the line would be really, really long, right? Some of the queries are going to be really, really long, and you don't want them to keep going this way because then you kind of lose context of what it's trying to do. Trust me, I've seen some really long queries where they're doing multiple joins and like you lose context if it's all on one line. But when you split it up into different lines, it's just a more visually easy to kind of interpret what's happening. This allows us to create a query. So here I'm just going to say insert into people, name, age, okay, and then go to the next line. That's it. Insert into people, name and age, values, and then what are the values that we're going to pass? Here, we're going to pass in ops, right? And we're going to grab the name. The reason why this is in single quotes here is because it is a string of text that we're passing in, and we want to make sure we keep it as a string of text. Here for ops, we're passing in age. An age is a number, so we don't need to surround it in strings. We want that to be a number. And then returning ID, name, and age. Okay, and that's our query. Once again, we could have wrote it in one long string. That would have been fine. This just allows us to write out these queries relatively easy. So let's do this. I'm going to finish it. and then I'll slack out the code. Then we are going to return, right? Same thing as before. We're going to return, since it is the same thing, I'm just going to kind of copy that code. It's the same identical code. There's no reason to really like retype it all out, right? So this looks good. Okay. So here, I'm going to slack out this whole self method, right? Right here. Right here, I'm going to, here, just create. Yeah, I went too far. Create method. There we go. I'm going to collapse the find one so that doesn't interfere. Okay, I'm going to save this. Looks good, looks good. Yeah, results. Sweet, looks good. I think we got everyone. Awesome. So now we go to the controller, right? As we do this, writing routes, I would probably hit it as route, then write my controller, and then write the model, just as a process of like testing. Hey, is my route working? Boom, tested it. Oh, no controller method. Cool, let me create the controller method. Did it work? Yeah, cool. Oh, and maybe just return an object just to make sure it's working, and then do the model. Just as testing purposes, trying to like baby step the process, right? So I'm just gonna collapse those two so we don't have as many things open. Now, Ruby here has some built-in security. And we're going to circumvent that security for the moment. So we're just going to allow anyone to add something to the database. But it's kind of cool that it would have some security that would prevent people from just adding anything. So that is skip before action, verify authenticity token. Okay, just for now, just know that this right here is being used to skip authentication. Okay, that's it. We don't have to delve into exactly what's happening under the hood. Let's just take it for face value that it's going to skip that. And then we will create our method for create. And then here we're going to render JSON. What are we going to do? Well, we're going to make a call to the person model. We're going to call the create method. We're going to pass it params and person. That's what we're going to pass. Okay. So params is obviously an object, and we're going to be passing this person, which is also going to be an object here, right? Object with key value pairs. So an object that has a key of person that has a value of another object. Okay? So let's this. Okay, just make sure you get those two in place. Both of those belong inside the people controller. People's controllers.
Hey, Joe, would you always put the skip inside of the controller?
What's that?
Do you always put the skip inside the controller?
Yeah, it goes inside this controller. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Which is where the fact that we have to add that here, you'd have to make the assumption that it's within this particular controller that would be running this authentication of some sort, right? So naturally, the controllers themselves, and remember, this is like a people class that's inheriting from the application controller. Would be my assumption that the application controller is the one that's passing in the need for authentication if you're going to add something or write something to the database. And that this helps us mitigate it. So cool. So all my files are saved. Awesome. Now we have to go to Postman. Okay? So you're going to open up Postman, our favorite API testing tool. Really enjoy working with Postman. And what we can do is just test, test that we're getting it. Like, test that the server works, that this thing would return back, if we send a GET request. Hey, look, I'm getting all of the data. Okay? I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. I'm getting all of the data from that route. Okay? If I was to test, hey, I want to see one. Cool. So we know Postman is working, and the server's working, everything's working. Now we need to change that method here, right? This method will be post. I'm going to get rid of the one because our route is just to people, okay? Now there's a few things in here that we're going to have to change. I'm just going to kind of minimize this, pull this over, show both of these so we're all on the same page here, okay? So there's a few things that we have to change here. When we were doing it in Express, move this up just a little bit. When we were doing this in Express, we used these key value pairs, and it was really easy to like add something with these key value pairs. We don't have that set up right now. So we're gonna have to change that up. So when we do go to body right here, we were using, like I said, we're using this Excel form URL encoded, and we're able to just like go in here and type key value pairs, really easy, really clean. Can't do that with this. We have to do body, raw. And the minute we choose raw, another drop down or another option comes here, and we have to change this to be application JSON. Okay? So let me see here. All right, we're here. Just want to see if I can annotate. Let's see it. Is it here? Yeah. You need this body, raw, application JSON. Okay. Also post, and this is our route. Okay. Duet.
Joe,
Yeah.
mine is pulling up the. Oh, is it? Do you have to change the HTML tab too?
What do you
mine
mean?
is like for some reason mine's not pulling up the person. It's pulling up like the whole HTML.
Okay, you do have this set to people though, post. We haven't posted anything, so it's not going to work right now because we didn't put anything in there to post.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to clear it. We still need to give it some data. So I'm going to end this, right, in the annotation. Clear all the drawings. Let me just clear all the drawings. All right. And this. All right. So as long as we have that set up, now we have to pass something in. We're going to pass some data in here. Okay? So in here, we're going to create an object. I'm going to get rid of the object that I had. We're going to do an opening and closing because this is an object that we're going to be passing in. Double quotes because it's a JSON object, and we're going to say name. That's the value that we're passing in. Saffron is the person's name. And age And 22 is the age that we're passing. Okay? Once again, we're configured, our database is only configured with two things anyway, name and age, right? Our model right now is only configured to deal with name and age. So if we have this and we send, we should get back. So once again, sending this will return the thing that was created with the ID, name, and age, okay? Because that's what it's going to return back, and then this return should send all three of those. So let's send it. And
age be a string?
What's that?
Does it matter you're sending age as a string?
We can always test and see. It's not a string. I'm going to say saffron 2. I'm just going to test it. Let me see it. Nope. Looks like it works. Here we're just doing it as JSON, right? So that would tell me it's probably converting it under the hood into pure JSON if it's sending it as JSON. Because the servers are going to talk now JSON. So the machine's going to be doing JSON stringify through Postman, and then on the server it should do JSON parse. But it should be sent as a string, not a live object. So we're simulating this. If we didn't do this for the age, I wonder if we didn't do it for the name. Let me just see if it didn't work for the name. Look, see how it errors out for the name? Even if I change that, so that has to be, I'm sorry, yeah, the name has to be a string. But since this is a number, the number doesn't have to be in double quotes, okay? So I'm just gonna go back here, right? Now, if we just grab everything, if I go, hey, I'm just gonna get everything from people now, just, it did send it back. So the thing should have been created and would be the last thing. So saffron here was created. There we go. Okay. So everyone confirms. Confirm create is working. Tested. Boom. All right. So just give me a thumbs up that you confirmed that our post. I'm going to change this back to post.
Yeah, Joe, something's still weird with mine.
Okay. Let me stop sharing and you share yours and let's take a look. Okay. So what do you got here? Doc type, exception caught, right? So action controller. So this is going to tell me that there's something wrong in the code, right? Because post, people, everything looks okay, but you're getting this error. What's in the body? I'm just curious if it'll give us any insight. Just know, go down, right there. In the HTML that was delivered, is there any other indication? Like, is there any other message? Keep browsing down. Just scroll in the screen. Yeah, there you go. I'm just curious if there was any other message. Extracted source, yeah. I don't know if we're going to be able to find it there. So let's go back to your code and just take a look at the code.
Are the keys or column names going to be case sensitive? Because it look like.
I believe, yeah. Did he have can you go back to your body? I just want to make sure the data that you formatted here, show me the object that you sent. Yeah,
right here?
The lowercase.
This one?
No, age, the key, should be lowercase. Good looking out. Now try sending it. No, it's still erroring out, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can see down there you have the error, right? You're returning back HTML, which is, it's trying to tell you that it's an error that's happening, right? All right, so go back to your code and let's just take a look. I'm going to guess it's, once again, this stuff starts to get more trickier as we go along. So you got the def create ops, results is equal to db exec, insert into people, name and age, values, ops, right? Okay, ops, age, returning age, okay. Return first ID to string, name. Yeah, that looks good.
A semicolon after age. Line 30. And returning is spelled wrong.
Oh.
Also, ops is capitalized for values.
I love it. Aaron.
No, sorry. I mean, it needs to be lowercase, both of them.
Yeah.
You also have input type some bit.
I'm all over the place apparently. This is why I don't type anymore. Wait, where's that one? What'd you say, Jeremy?
No, I was just making a joke. I said you had input type some bit.
Okay.
I really thought I did.
Insert, returning. Now that looks good. Save it. And let's try it again.
Does it need a semicolon here?
Put a semicolon there, yeah. That's the end of our SQL query. Try to send it. There you go. Sweet.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yes. When in doubt, copy and paste. So I'm surprised up to this point I haven't hit more errors typing. I'm always fat fingering things, so don't feel bad if you hit errors because I almost always hit errors. Sweet, so we got this. Everyone's confirmed that we're able to add something. Awesome. All right, so I'm just gonna minimize this, put that over there. Now we need a delete route. Okay, so here we go. We got our get post. We'll do a delete, and then we'll do an update, and then we'll have full CRUD, right? Awesome. Start with our route. Start with the delete keyword, right? Or command or verb. People, / what do you want to delete? Well, I want to delete an individual thing, right? I have to pass in the ID. Comma, 2, where are we going? Where are we sending this request? All right, we're sending it to people, pound, delete. That's the method, right? Okay. Save that. So add that. Add that as the route. Easy enough. Okay. Then we'll move on to the model, which here for the model, it's cleaner, easier to write out. This won't take so much time to do. And I'm going to, for this, collapse the create. So everything looks a little cleaner. I don't need to have all of those expanded. Just makes it hard to see where all these ends end, right? And then we'll go ahead and do the model. So here we go, def self dot delete. It's going to take in an ID, and let's end the method. Okay. The results are equal to the database executing a specific command. That command is to delete from people where ID is equal to the ID, semicolon. Right? Easy enough. It's just a standard query. Okay? Now, when we do that, we want to return something and at least say, hey, it was returned. It was deleted, kind of. Hey, a confirmation. So let's just return deleted is true, right? What we might do on our side, run some query here or some logic to say if results, it's true, then return deleted true, otherwise return deleted false. And then on the client side, we would know if it took effect. Okay, we want to get some sort of confirmation. Okay, that's our delete method. Here, it goes in the model. All right, I'm gonna save it. And we just have one last thing to do. Just confirm that you got the def, you got the method in there. Do the gems. Looking good. 7, 12, 13, 14. We got about 14? All right, moving on up. All we have left now is just create the controller, right? And the controller's as easy as just creating a method called delete. And just rendering what was returned, right? Hey, JSON, if person.delete method worked, if it did work, right? Or we're going to pass it in the ID, and if it did work, we'll render what's returned from here, right? Delete method, we got it here, right? And then we'll test this out. 10. Okay. And once again, we have our delete, our people controller, right? People controller is going to people, and it's looking for a delete method, right? And data is being passed to it. So somewhere in the route, data is being passed, and we're grabbing this data, right? So that data is going to be grabbed as part of this ID right here, right? So that is really that, okay? And then the model, change the color here. Change the color. Oh, all right. This model right here, right? That's going to the person's model, and then we're using the delete method, and we're passing in that ID goes right in there, okay? And then this runs our SQL command to delete the thing, and it's going to return this. Right? This is the return results, okay? And then that will then return it back to the user, okay? Just how everything is kind of connected and related here. I think by now, you know, it makes sense how things are being named, right? Through all the drawings. It's pretty intuitive, right? I would say at this point in time, if you had to create something, if I was like, hey, go ahead and create a put route, you could probably hit the route and the controller fairly easily, intuitively, and then, you know, maybe the model might take you a minute to figure it out. But let's test this, right? Now that we know all my files are saved, I'm going to open Postman, and let's delete something. What do we want to delete? So maybe we'll delete number 10, since that was Sapphire. If I'm not going to post, I am going to delete. And I need the ID of the thing that I'm deleting. Once again, if it works, we should get deleted true. Deleted true. If you didn't get deleted true, something tells me something is going to be off here. Okay? I'm going to test something. I'm going to get rid of that. 9. Let me see. I just want to see whatever out. No. I think that semicolon here for the execution may be more convention than necessity. It could still work. Everyone good? Feeling good? Pretty easy, right? I mean, at this point in time, it's not really that difficult. It's just, you know, figuring out how to name these things. Awesome. So let's do an update. Okay. We're good. I just want to make sure. I only got 18. I want to make sure everyone's tested it, make sure it works. You're able to delete. It all deletes. Just update that last little click there. I don't want to leave anyone behind. Awesome. So let's move on to update. So here we're going to use puts as our method. People. I am targeting something. All right, what's the thing you want to update? That's the ID. Where are we going? Where do you want me to go? Where? Well, I want you to go to people, and I want you to go to the update method. I'll save it. Once again, if we went there, we would just get an error message that, you know, the update method doesn't exist. Okay? So that's our put. Make sure all good. That's an interesting icon. Pied Piper. Sweet.
Have you seen Silicon Valley before, Joe?
No, I haven't. I haven't watched Silicon Valley. Is it good?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay.
Hey, Joe?
Yeah.
Question.
Sure.
Running into some bug fixing kind of stuff. Not really an error, but more overall. So I'm trying to kind of see what's happening in the middle of these processes. And on the looking at a single individual item, might help if I share my screen, I guess, for a moment.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Right here where I'm looking at a single thing. I'm trying to look at the intermediate results once we get them back from our
Oh,
database.
yeah. And it doesn't come out?
It comes out as a reference, I think, which is kind of how Ruby seems to do it, where it's passing around these reference values effectively.
Sure.
And we can access it. But how can I actually turn this reference into the data itself if I don't know what it is?
How can you turn it into the data? As in what?
Like, I'm trying to output these results, the entirety of them.
Okay. I mean, you're outputting that long string, right? And then the ID. So this thing is a reference because when you do puts results, so puts results just by itself is outputting that first line, right? The reference ID.
Yeah.
Correct. And then bracket 0 is the object, and then count is 1. Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
And what I would like is if I output results, it shows me the actual value, not the reference it's pointing to.
Oh yeah, that's just the way it is. Yeah.
Is there a way to do that in Ruby though, where you say, "Here's the reference. Now give me the object it's pointing to"?
I don't know if it'll work here, but if you put P instead of puts, sometimes that's like an inspect, and it gives you more. I ran into that with the card game. I don't know if it'll help in this case.
Gives a little more information, it seems, but it's not giving us the actual data.
Yeah. I'd have to look at some Ruby methods to see if that's possible. I'm assuming maybe it's possible, but off the top of my head, I don't know.
Okay.
Just could be the convention. That's what it returns. And we have to know to use the bracket 0 to get the thing out of it. Because it seems pretty odd, right? It looks like a reference, and yet when you do bracket 0, you get back an array. So it's showing us the reference to the array. Kind of weird, right? But yeah, I don't know. Cool. We're good. All right, looks pretty good. All right, so here we go. We're gonna do the method to update, right? So we have our routes. I'm going to collapse delete, so I don't see delete. And now we're gonna create a new method, do self.update ID, and the options that we're gonna give, right? And so we have to tell it which item to target, and then give it the properties that we want to update. All right. Same thing here is results, right? Results is equal to database dot execute. Okay. We're going to do that wacky SQL, and we'll put our SQL command in here. And our command is to update the people table. Oh. We are going to set the name is equal to single quote, pound ops, bracket, name, right? So ops is going to be an object, and we're going to grab the name value from there, comma. Once again, that's a string, so it's surrounded in single quotes. Age is equal to pound ops, right? Age doesn't need strings because it's a number. Where ID is equal to ID. And then lastly, just returning ID, name, age. All right, it looks good. Just looking for any typos. I think that looks pretty solid. I'm going to save it and then just do the return. Now, for the return, once again, the return is everything that we've done before with this return right here. So I think I'm just going to copy the return from self here and just add it, because these are identical, right? No point in like adding any more room for complexity. So this becomes our method, our model method, right? Update ops, just once again, just giving it a second glance over. No update, set name, ops, looks good. Age ops, age ID. Yeah, looks pretty good. All right, just make sure give me a thumbs up when you get that. And we'll just update the last piece here. You will have full API functionality for Rails server. Just cool with API servers. You can just have your data. Just always access data. There's times when I wish I had more time to like build out these servers and just push them up there. I would create routes to all of those APIs that we use in class. So I would know my server, if I just do /city bikes, I'd get all the city bikes. / sports, I would get sports teams names or something. And then I can always look at the server to see where those URLs are going. But just for convenience sake, the ability to access multiple routes, and get access to multiple APIs is great. And then aggregating data, right? I think that's a big thing, is getting all the data, aggregating the data, and creating a new route that provides that aggregated data in a useful format. Lots of people make money off of rendering data. That's it, just data, right? Some of the APIs that you wanted to use cost money. They cost money, and they're only giving you data, right? That's all they're getting. They're giving you data, and they'll give you some data for free, and then some data is going to cost you after you hit a specific limit, or just in general. Sometimes it just costs right off the bat, because data is money these days. So learning how to, aggregate information, creating, in-depth SQL queries to take that data, formatted in such a way that it's provided. Well,
Hey, Joe, I have a question about, is when we pass something either with the update or with the create, and we do it in Postman, it seems like so it's just taking that JSON that we send and it puts it into that params person.
Yeah.
Is it getting person just based on Rails, knowing that that matches the people? It's like or where's that person? I missed where that person is coming from.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. So let's go back here. So you're saying when we pass it in, here's people, pass it into, oh, we haven't created the update. Let me create the update and then I'll adjust that, right? Because we got person. So I'm going to do the update all lowercase, ends, and then here render JSON person dot update, because that's our method. Params, that's what we passed in. The ID, right? Because that's the ID that we were looking for here. And then params, and then this is what you're talking about. Person. So it's taking the information that's coming and it's putting it as person, right? Because we don't have any reference to person here, right? So where would that person come in? So if we go here, just to make sure, like, I think it's doing it under the hood, because under here, I'm going to update. Let's just do a put. Say I wanted to do, let's see which one they're doing one, so I'll just do 1, 2. I'm just going to return them all. I want to make sure I don't break anything. Get everybody. Got everybody. So Malcolm, number 1, 49, age 49. So I'm going to put 1. We'll shorten this to be Mal instead of 49. Mal is now 50. And if we send this, oh, so mine's erroring out. All right? Get action controller exception. So I'm getting, but I believe Aaron was getting last time. So let me go back here. Unless, oh, I didn't save it. I can tell I thought everything would look good. And nope, still getting an error. You take a look here, Mal, puts, I'm gonna take a look, unless I mistype something, person updates, ID params person, right? ID params, oh, I have an extra. See here, there's an extra parens here. So let me get rid of that extra parens. Let me save it. Pop this open. Let's see if I send it. Nope, still getting the error. Contacts, unexpected, people controller. This is the people controller. I'm just going to take a look. I'm going to, for the sake of having mistyped something, so I'm just going to save that. Let me just make sure. Test one more time. Put people 1, right? Have our data, raw, JSON. Okay. And now it works. Okay, so I must have. So when that happens, when that usually happens, I undo what I did just to see, like, where did I go wrong? Right? I mean, this looks pretty on point. Person.update, params. Oh, here we go. See this? Here's a. That's why. Had a parens there. I sometimes go back just to see, like, if it's an easy enough thing to fix. We know Mal, so if I go Mali, that should work too, right? That works, Mali? Awesome. All right, let me post this and then we'll address that, because I'm going to be honest, I don't know where it's doing the conversion of person into. We're going to create these routes again for another route model and controller for locations. And we'll take a look at that naming convention also. Let me just go up here. Sure. There we go. Make sure to test. All right. Confirm. Update route works via Postman. Okay. Because we don't see anywhere here where it's actually sending the thing. It just sends it. We get it. And then when we get it, it goes here, and then params ID and person. So it's taking the thing up. That's, oh, you know why? Here we go. This is why. You know how it is, this is what I think it's doing. See how people is plural? Person is singular. I personally think that's what it's doing. It's taking the singular of people and saying, I'm going to package this as person. It's doing this because in no way have we made any decisions on what it should be called, and yet it's calling it something. Okay? And there was, if I just go to, when we did the initial setup, at the very bottom, there was an aside. And they were talking about single versus plural of words. And I think that's kind of where it was going to come. Frenemies versus frenemy. And what it's doing is it's taking that and converting it into its singular. Okay? Once again, it's very strict at what it's doing, right? Kind of intuitive in that way. Obviously, frenemies to frenemy, I don't know. I don't think we'd struggle with knowing what the singular of that is, but at the same time, doing this, you would know if the route is called people and our controller, I think it's actually come maybe from the people controller, and then it's saying, hey, I'm going to convert it to person. I think so, one of those. But it's doing the conversion based on the naming convention here. So it might come up like, well, what if it was singular? Like, what would it do then? And I have to take a look. What was it?
So would we have to like name something like that, or does it even matter what we put in the brackets there? I mean, like if it was machines, could we do something like springs, or would it have to be machine?
No, once again, because this is looking at something very specific, right? I think if we decided to change this, this should break, right? So if I was like persons, let's just say persons, just to test it out, right? I don't truly believe we can do anything we want here. Let's take a look. I'm going to do, hey, persons. We're going to do, I'll change this back to Mal. Let's just see if this works. Don't think it should work. No, we're erroring out, right? On control exception. Maybe somewhere in the error message it may say something like it's looking for that particular thing. I'm going to go back here and just make sure it's person. Let's just send it, and now it works. So you don't have the freedom to kind of name things whatever you want to name them. That's part of Rails' kind of strict guidance of like, hey, you called it this thing, it has to be this thing. And that's like, that's it. There's no other way around it. Let me see here. Just looking for maybe if I had another use case. But I don't. All right. Okay. Everyone tested it? Pretty good?
I'm still getting the HTML page. I'm going to try to do the put.
Okay. Why don't you share and let's take a look.
So am I supposed to just put stuff in here that I'm trying to update?
Yeah, whatever the person's name, yeah. That should work right there. So if you're getting that error, like if you're getting an error like that, I'm assuming it has to do with not how you're sending it here, because that looks pretty on point, right? I'm going to assume it's in the code. And one does exist, right? You didn't accidentally delete one. Just going to assume, like.
Yeah, no, one's there. It's Malcolm.
Okay.
I'm going to do like a get one.
There you go. All right, so awesome. That's all I wanted to see. You did that. That should work. Doesn't matter what we give it now. All right, so then your code, there's something in the code that's broken. So SQL, right? Yeah. Self results, update people, set name is equal to ops, name age, ops.
So I'm not sure if this matters in this case, but it looks like on line 49, you're putting double quotes within double quotes. Maybe try and put a single quote around the name in ops.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Yeah, because we had written it as double quotes and then single quotes, correct? Let me just see here. Let's.
Isn't the where and returning wrong in there?
So update people, set name. No. Where ID, yeah, you're missing. So you're missing a whole where clause. So that where you have where should be returning. So that name of where that you have there, change it to be returning, and then put a space between the set and returning to add another line. So get rid of where. Just delete where. Type returning. We still need more. Now between line 47 and 50, give us another empty line between 49 and 50. No. Between 49 and 50, I want an empty line there. And now do where ID is equal to the ID. So where ID is equal to pound curly brace ID. So you weren't saying what you were targeting.
Yeah, I totally missed that. I don't know how I missed that. So should be good now. Thank you guys.
Test it out. Just test it out. Let's see. Nope. It's getting an error. All right. Did you save the file? I just want to make sure.
Can you go back and can you actually click on the results? And can we actually look at what the page actually says? So there's pretty raw and preview. Click on preview so we can actually see the Rails error page.
Oh, cool. Forgot about that. Column Rupert does not exist on line 2. Set name is equal to Rupert, age 22. So it's the name. Can you go back? I think maybe it's the way we formatted with single quotes and double quotes. On line 49, we had it as double quotes around name within the brackets and single quotes around the ops. Yeah. See if that works. All right, that looks good, right? There you go. It did it. So it is particular about the formatting of single and double quotes. I think maybe in JavaScript, you can use single and double quotes interchangeably to get something out of a hash, a key. So if you do use bracket notation to return something out of a hash, single quotes and double quotes can be used interchangeably. In Ruby, I think they're a bit more strict. But you got to work it. Anyone else?
Joe, I can't seem to pull up all of them at once. I'm getting an empty object.
When you try to do a get on everyone?
Yes.
Okay. You want to share? Okay.
So I wanted to see everything listed. And this is and
you get the same results, Lauren, if you just open up the browser and do get? I'm just curious.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Is it because there isn't a backslash after people? Does that matter?
No, you should be able to get. Now, Lauren, obviously you can't get one person then too, right? If you did /1, would you get one person?
No.
Okay, so now we're getting an error. So there's something, and maybe one, my assumption is, and I don't know, did we accidentally delete everything in the database? Can you go to Postgres in your terminal window and take a look at the database itself? Go to the last Postgres tab, the one to, one of those that isn't constantly running. Yeah, that. Now just do a select star, which I think you should. If you just hit the up arrow, it should.
Just like that?
Yeah, I mean, if you hit the up arrow, it's going to type in the last command, which was select star. Yeah, right there. Good. You didn't. Oh, we didn't include. No, you did, right? Select star from people. Oh, because the previous command didn't have. We didn't finish terminating it. So try doing it at Rome again. Hit the up arrow. Yeah. No. See. Yeah. It's still. So type it all out. For some reason, it's like. It saw both of those as one command because we did not terminate it with a semicolon. It sees select star and then select star from people as one command. Good. You don't have anything. So you must have accidentally deleted all of the entries, maybe when we were testing delete. So you can add them. You know, you can go back to doing the full insert and just add a bunch of things in there. That's what I believe happened.
Okay.
Hey, stuff happens. It's one of those things. It's like one of those, I used to do desktop support, person would say like, I didn't delete the file. And I would be like, I don't know, is the file no longer there? Yeah, who was the last one to touch it? I was just working in it. I'm like, all right, without saying you deleted it, you know, you deleted it. I don't know how it happened. It was, you know, I'm sure it was a mistake. But you can re-add it. I think that was from the very first lecture for today. All right, very first lecture had it set up. I think it was the very first one, is it? No. But that was just setting up, I think it was the second lecture, index, right? Yeah, right here. Second lecture, do that, and just paste it. Do that, and you'll get all the people back. Awesome. Why don't we, right, because we are at, we just did the last one, right? We just did update. Oh, snap, that takes us to the end. All right, why don't we take a break? We pushed past our 3:30. Surprised nobody was like, Joe, let's go to break. It's 3:42. Let's come back at 3:52. Let's take a break. Back at 3:52. Take a break. Back at 3:52. Break. Okay, everyone's back. Sweet. This seems pretty cool, right? We built a Rails server. We configure it as an API server. Lots of little discoveries here too about how Rails as a framework is configured. And the naming conventions of certain things are being decided upon without our, decision-making skills, right? Just like this, person is person because the controller's people, or I'm going to say the controller's people. Maybe it's the route that's people, but I'm going to assume it's the controller that's people that's doing this. And so it converts it to person. You're like, wow, okay. Tell it the controller name of people, and it knows to find a controller of people. Tell it the method, it finds the method. It's really an intuitive system once you start working with it. Outside of like hitting the errors, it's so configuration, it's so opinionated in how it's written that you really don't have much of a choice to do it exactly as it wants it. And that's why I said, like, if instead of you did, hey, I want it to be contacts, but I named it contact, I'm going to keep going, that could be an issue later on. Or if you changed your routes, and I said, oh, I want it to be people, and it's people's because I misspelled it, whatever. Delete everything, restart. Once again, there's things happening under the hood that we just don't control.
Wouldn't it be dependent on the name of the model we used? We named our model person.
Hey, so maybe that's it. Let me take a look. I don't know, because see here, and it could be maybe that is the convention, since it is saying ID though, right? So we're asking it to find the thing with the ID, and then this other one has the object. So it could be that. I'd have to take a look to see if it is the person is coming from the model. Yeah, well, this is person right here, so that could be. Yeah, Flynn, you may be right. I don't know. I have to take a look and see where that was coming from again. Cool. All right. So let's take a look at the last one. Now, we've been working since this morning, and then we jumped right into it in the afternoon. So we've been going straight now for about an hour and a half of doing this. So the last one would be here. Now, in order for things to work for the next couple of, for the next lesson, at least the next lesson, and then next week when we do Rails, Matt is going to continue to build this particular app out with you for the rest of the week. And so CRUD on all the models must be ready to build for tomorrow. So tomorrow you're going to have locations ready, and there's one additional model and routes and controller that you're going to have to create for homework. But this has to be done. Okay, so this model here, so most apps are going to have more than one model. And Matt showed that yesterday in regards to creating additional tables, right? And those tables, you could join upon. And when you have that, when you have models, you can do like joins, right? You did joins yesterday, and so there's one-to-many joins, many-to-many joins. And so, a contact can have many locations, work and home, vice versa. Okay, so in the next few days, this needs to be built out completely. So we can either build this out together and then go one more strike through, or I can give you time to do this, get your hands wet, kind of reproducing what we just did, which once again, I think, in all honesty, based on the construct that we just did, right, you should be able to create the same structure. I can't imagine it being that much more difficult to create. So what I wanted to do is give you time on your own. We did this. This has to get done. So by the end of today, we need to get this done, but I want to give you some time to start working on this. Okay, let me just take a look and see. I just want to take a look at something. Give me 1 second here. Instructor notes, student labs. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to also have to build another one for the lab, which is companies. Okay. So let's do this. I'm going to put a poll here. Once again, we got to get this done, and the lab's got to get done. Look through. Groups. There we go. All right, so I'm going to slack out this poll. Applications. There we go. All right. So I'm going to leave it up. Let's see. Looks like together is like together. Let's do it again. Oh, good. I think, unless we have more people I don't know about, looks like we're going to be doing it together. Yes, together indeed. All right. So let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's see the persons. Okay. Together is unanimous. Once again, because the lab is going to have you create yet another thing just like this. Same concept. Okay. All right. So let's do it then. All right. All right. So we have our person, our routes. All right. So we have locations. So the first thing that we should do is to create a table. All right. So we have our contacts database, and we are going to create a table in there. So I'm going to go into Postgres. Here's our contacts, right? Let me just make sure contacts, create a table, companies, create a table, locations. Yeah. So I think, let me just make sure. Hold on a second. Hey, locations. Locations. Just confirming if you're going to create this as a separate database or just a table. I think it's just going to be a table. I think it's just going to be a table in contacts. All right. Actually, no. Should be another new table. Yeah, sweet. Awesome. So it's just going to be a new table. So cool. So we're going to grab this data. Let me copy paste this. Classroom. Okay. So what we're going to do, context development, that's our database. There's a people table in there. And now we're going to create another table. I'm just going to paste that information in there, hit enter, and it should have entered all of those things. If I do data table, I should see location. Select far from locations. And I get everything. Once again, doing it in uppercase is a syntactic preference, right? It's like best practices. But if you're typing in here and no one's here to watch you type in the query, it doesn't have to be in uppercase. It's still going to work. Okay? Sweet. So make sure your table's created. We're going to do it together, then we got to do it together. Okay. It's good. Applications. Okay. It's good. We got 15. Once again, once you get it, make sure you do a select, see everything, sure everything is there. Easy enough, 16. It's good.
Saying something about like the server being terminated
What server?
abnormally. I don't know.
This was with Postgres? Or
On my screen, I guess. I'm just trying to create the. Let me.
okay. I'm going to stop sharing. Why don't you share, Jeremy? Let's take a look.
So that's what we want to do, right? We just want to create the table. Oh,
yeah. There you go.
Go figure. I just did that. I mean,
okay.
Whatever.
Well, copy the rest because we're not just creating the table where you're populating.
Right.
Okay. There's also ways to save all of these things into all of these commands, these SQL commands, into a file, an SQL file, and then import them using Postgres. I can use PSQL-F, import the commands from a file, and it's part of a concept called seeding. It'll create the database, seed the database with data. So once again, if you have somebody that wants to use your app, they're going to download it. You want to have data, right? You want to have some mock data. Do you really want them to go in here and like copy and paste? Or if they could run a file that's like drop table, create table, and do a few things on the fly, that would be cool. The ability to do that. I don't know if I have that. I thought I had an example of it, but I don't have an example of it right now. Do I? Let me see. Applications project. No, I don't. All right. So it looks like we're good. Sweet. All right. So we've got here. So let's start with our routes, right? So here are our routes, right? And for our routes, now, when I was working with the group project, and we were like, hey, I'm gonna spin up a server. Cool. Are you gonna write the server from scratch? Like, how many of you opted? Just give me a hands up. How many of you opted during the group project to like write the server from scratch? That's good. That's great. That's what I want to see. Like, don't write it from scratch, right? You would have copied and pasted one of the servers we worked with, right? It's not cheating, right? That's just being efficient. How many servers are you going to spin up, right? You have limited time. This is project time. This isn't about mastering every nuance of a server, right? So if we wanted to build out a new thing altogether, how fast would that be? Like, how fast could we make this happen so that we don't have to do every little step, baby step that we just did to do that, right? So if I take a look at my routes, I already have these routes, right? Routes are working. We know that those routes were written correctly, and we know that they have a general construct of what we want them to do, right? How hard would it be to copy these routes and rename them to the things that we want them to be? It wouldn't be that difficult at all, right? So these routes, so say, I'm going to do this and then we can do it together. Say I wanted a new location route. So I'm like, all right, location.
Share your screen, Joe.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. There we go. So if I'm going to say, hey, I want a new locations route, right? I'm going to say, hey, new locations. Hey, where are you going? Well, I'm going to go to the locations controller, and I'm going to do index, right? It's the same, essentially the same route, correct? So how hard would it be for you to just copy and paste these and change the locations, right? Something where I could just grab these files. All I'm trying to be is more efficient. I'm not trying to cheat. I'm not trying to say like, oh yeah, you did one route, you know how to do it. Doing 100 routes, I don't know. It's the same thing. If I was to take these routes and do this, so I'm going to just go here and I'm just going to put maybe a comment between the routes. So I can say, hey, this is for locations, right? And now I know the only thing that needs to be changed is people. I need to get rid of people. So if I were to click here, wherever there's people, boom, 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 right? I held the command key down and I click. You see all those blinking? All I have to do is this, dot, 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 dot. And now I just change it to locations. No, unless you mistyped that one thing, that one time, we now have all the routes that we need, right? This is the efficiency that I want you to look for. I don't want you to spend time. I want you to learn this stuff. I want you to understand it. I don't care in the end if you master how to create this route. If you need to look back at one point in time because you forgot, that's okay. It's the same thing. You learn Node and Express. You're going to go back there and like master how to create a route, Node and Express, and then master how to do this. That's a big ask. So if you just were to do that, try copying and pasting all of these routes. Create a little section here that says locations. Maybe up here, I'll do something that says people. So I know that those are my people routes. Paste them. And then by, once again, holding the command key, just click at the end of those files. And you can delete them and call them locations. Okay? And then ultimately, this will be our locations. Okay? I slacked it out, but I want you to give it a shot. Because once again, would you prefer to spend more time typing these things out or kind of investigating algorithms and trying to figure out some of those algorithms? Like, where is your time best suited? And think about this when it comes to the project, too. There's going to be a project, then of Unit 4. Build out a Rails server, right? You're going to have these templates. Work with the templates that we gave you and change them according to the needs of your app. But don't try reinventing the wheel. I just think it's a tedious process when your time can be invested. Okay. See that? 10 already. 10 so far. Really easy to do, right? Excuse me. Okay. We good? What do we got? 20? Looks pretty good, right? Easy enough. Now that we have our people, we have our locations routes, right? Once again, this isn't really going to work. There's nothing there. We don't have a controller and we don't have access to the database, so we don't really have anything to like return. We would error out. So the next thing would be, now that we have our routes, so our routes are just that. We need to create a controller, a locations controller. So in the controllers folder, I'm going to say new file and say locations underscore controller.rb. Okay, easy enough, right? Same thing here, the same concept is really it. Once again, the people controller already has all the information we need, and all we really need to do is make a few little nuances to change this. So if I copied the people controller, paste it into locations, all we'd have to do is make a handful of changes here, right? Wherever it says people, we change it to locations, right? So here, I'm going to start with here. I'm going to go there, hold the command key down, person, 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 right? Now, I'm not going to touch on the person in params because that's going to be lowercase, so we'll save that. So I'm just going to get rid of this and say locations. Actually, these are going to be location. This controller is going to be locations, okay? Right, the people had people controller and person. So this was different here. The location, it is going to be locations as the name of the controller, and then location as the singular, okay? The only other thing we need to change here is this. This will be location, and this one will be location. Location, right? Okay, let's type that out. Sweet. Right, pretty easy so far, right? We haven't tested anything. The only issue with this, obviously, is testing them out along the way. We're just kind of blindly like, bam, bam, all of them at once, hoping for the best at the end. If there wasn't any typos or anything, it may be harder to solve them towards the end. But I think doing this as a way of just like, we need to get the things up and running. We did it once, we got it. You're going to do it again for the lab. Homework will entail something just like this. Routes aren't going to be much different than this. Be extremely similar. If there's any nuances, you'll kind of figure it out. My people controller. Get rid of. Looks good. It looks like we got 16. Awesome. The only other thing that we need to do would be to create the model, which, once again, the model's a bit more involved. Between these two files, routes, not a lot going on there. Not too much to fat finger. Controller, once again, still a very standard set of properties. Okay, a few little nuance changes there and everything's good. And now we would do our model. So if I look at the person model, well, you know, that's a bit more stuff here, right? Here, there's going to be lots more chances for fat fingering things than the other ones. There's a lot more going on, but once again, we can work through that and test. Here, we can stop and test each model out as we go along, just to kind of make sure that the models are working, right? First thing is, we need a new model, right? So our model is going to be called location. So I'm going to go here and say, hey, model, new file, location.rb, boom, okay. And then once again, we can take all of this, select all of it, put it into our location, and then we can make edits, right? The first edit we have to make is up here. This is not class person. This is class location, okay? We don't have to change this. This is the same thing. This DB Connect, that's the same thing. We don't really have to make any changes there. The first thing that we want to do is do the all, right? And instead of selecting everything from people, just select everything from locations, right? That's small. And then what's the information that we're going to return? Well, here we're still going to do ID. ID stays ID, but we also have, I'll type it out and then I'll slack it out. We have street. So this would be street. We have age. So once again, if I click on age, and I click on age here, do we have, actually, we have nothing else that's going to be numerical. The only other things that we have are city, comma, all right, copy this, get rid of that, and state. Okay, and that looks pretty good. The only thing here, the end self all, right? If I collapse self all, this is it, right? I'm gonna take that, I'll slack this out, let's expand it. And let's see. Okay. And then I'm going to test it. The only thing I think may, I don't know, this may error out if it tries to run these things behind the scenes and be like, hey, I don't know where these things don't exist, but we shouldn't be hitting those anyway. You know, I'm just going to test it. Let's just see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right. Locations. Look, I get all locations. That was super easy. Created the routes and everything was returned. Okay. So let me know when you get that done and you test. Confirm locations are returned via postman. Okay? And I want you to really, you know, consider. So we're taking the shortcut here, right? And the shortcut here is to, you did it once, you're going to do it again. Once again for lab. If you want to type it out by hand, then you can. But when you go on an interview, think that the interview process is about passing other key aspects, not writing routes and locations. Went on several interviews. No one's ever asked me to write out a express route or Postgres, you know, connection to the database, similar to what we're doing here. No one's ever asked me to do that. But they have asked me to work on algorithms. okay, not effectively doing an algorithm, will then, end my shot at the job. I have been asked to like break down a React component and explain what's going on, refactor it. Okay, so depending on what you're going for, if Rails is your thing, hey, they're going to ask you questions possibly about Rails. With the fact that you have projects and those projects work, be easy to convey to them that you know Rails, right? You have these things, they have them work.
Joe, I'm getting an error. It says relation locations does not exist.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. Why don't you share? I knew the dream of like copying and pasting wasn't going to work for everyone. So, okay. So we have here results. DB's like, select star from locations. And it's saying, okay, relation locations does not exist from locations. So do you have, can you confirm in Postgres, so open up your open up the terminal, go into Postgres, and do a select star from locations. Let's just make sure locations works.
What?
Error, relation, locations. So now that you're there, do a \DT. Data.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
DT, \DT?
Yeah, do that. Hit enter. All right, so you don't have locations. That's fine. Just copy and paste the code that I provided earlier to create that.
I did.
Okay, you might not have pasted it in the right place. It's quite possible. Right there. Grab all of that. Copy that. Go there, paste it. Hit enter. There you go. Now do a \DT. There we go. Boom, you have locations. My assumption now is if you run it, things should work, right?
So
now it's saying action controller. So can I get locations? Okay, we have locations there. Now go back to the browser. I just want to see what if the error is more clear there. Oh no, you got it. So sweet. See that? Now you're working.
okay. Why isn't it showing up in here?
I think we're looking at the wrong thing. It's not body. So preview, go to preview. Is that it? No. I don't know. Try to get it again and see. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. It's working in the other one. So I find it odd that it's not working here. Can I get error location, localhost?
I don't know if this has to do with anything, but she's / people in the local host. I don't know if that affects.
Oh, that does completely.
Ooh.
Oh, so that tells me, yeah, maybe you don't have the route. Yeah. So error locations control index. So this tells me go to your routes. I just don't think, I think maybe you changed something up here. Go to your routes file. Are we on the routes? Yeah, we're on the routes. Here we are, routes. So you got gets, locations. Oh, so you don't have you do have get locations too. Locations index, right? Locations pound index, locations. Okay. That looks good. All right, I'm just comparing. Yeah, locations. All right, so now go to the controller. Let's just take a look. Let's go to the controller and see. Here's your controller, locations controller. You have the index, you have all. Unable to autoload constant location. I'm going to assume, can we test this? Just for testing purposes. You see on line 6 where you're returning JSON location all. Just get rid of location all and put in an object there and just say like welcome. Like put an object, get rid of location all, yeah. And then, so welcome colon. Let's just do that. Welcome colon. And then in quotes, do hi or something. Doesn't matter. There we go. Save it, run it, and then we can have a better idea. All right, so that works, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your index. All I'm trying to do is piecemeal. The quickest way to solve it is to be like, I don't know, it seems like it's hitting it, it's returning an error. Is it the model? My assumption now is that it's the model, right? The model's the problem. Because if this works, the index, the route works, the controller works, the model is somehow broken, and you don't have a model. Oh, no, you do have locations model. So now save that. Just save the file, right? Make sure you save your controller file. Now go to your model, and let's take a look. I don't know what's happening here. It's got to be in...
Oh.
What is it? Oh, yes. There you go. Once again, key portions to change, right?
Always something dumb.
Oh.
Is this one still supposed to be plural though? It's location.
No, it's singular. It's location.
Okay.
Single location. Yeah. There you go. All right. There you go. All right. Sweet.
All right. Thank you.
Not too hard. That was an easy one. You know, once again, the copy and pasting is going to come with the downside of like missing one thing. And so what I really want you to stay focused on is how to troubleshoot. It's easy to copy and paste, and it's easy to make a mistake when you copy paste. When you hit that mistake, what's the quickest way to get to the solution, right? And so I was just trying to baby step it. Hey, let's just make sure that this thing works. All right, then let's move on to the next thing. Cool. So we know that getting all of them works now. Now I'm going to go on to the next one, this find, right? So the find isn't going to be people, right? It's going to be locations, right? All of this data, the return data here, all we need to do is copy this object, which I'd done earlier when we were working through this, and paste it here, right? Let's move this over. Look nice and syntactically correct here, right? Everything looks good, right? Didn't break anything there. All right. That looks good. So our find one should work. Like this looks pretty spot on. So I can, once again, I can just go to like, you know, localhost, locations one. Oh, here we go. Results ID. So why is that? So undefined local variable method result for location class. Did you mean results? So let me go in here and see. Did we mean results? Don't think we meant results, right? Just gonna make sure everything is saved. Pass in an ID. Select star from locations. So it's this thing that's erroring out. Did I not? Maybe, let me see. I'm just going to get all the locations again. So there is one. I'm going to try two. Let's see. Nope. So undefined local variable method result. So it's like this result. Oh, here we go. Here's the issue. See where this is result up here and we're kind of mapping through it? This is results. See that? This is the thing that we're looking at. So all I have to do is go in here, click in the right place, put in S, and save it. Okay? Once again, this was mapping through all of the results and creating an individual thing, stated as result. This is results. I almost think like that should be result. If you're finding one thing, we should get back one thing, right? Only makes sense. There's not going to be duplicate IDs in a database. Okay, so let me just test it again. And we're still getting it. All right, no implicit conversion of string to integer. So why would that happen here? Let me take a quick look and see. What am I typing in wrong here? Next star, results. Ah, here we go. I got it. I'm just gonna add the code here, but we're back to the results dot first. So if I went back just in time before I copied what was up there, look, I had first, and I just made a blind like, oh, I'm just gonna copy this and put it down here. And this was asked, like Lauren had specifically asked, what's first? So when we introduced that, that was the thing. And we saw this as being first, right? So if we do kind of copy and paste this, right, a few things need to be changed. Once again, just for simplicity, a few things. So this needs to be changed to results, right? So I'm just going to put my mouse here and do S dot first, right? That should work. Let's hope so. There we go. It works. Here's our find. Select that out. Okay. Make sure you test it. Make sure it works. So these two are done. Boink, boink. We really only have 1, 2, 3 more to go. Okay? Bloop, boink. Is that me messing up, Jeremy?
No, those are just Joeisms.
Oh.
Boink.
Do I actually say that?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Oh man.
Just like, oh, we're gonna do this right here, you know. Bloop.
Oh, that's too funny, man. Now I'm going to be so much more aware of it. I'm going to be teaching my Fugue class and be like, all right, we're going to do this. Bloop, blowing, yada, yada. Look at my knot. Look at me tying knot. Woo, hot. All right, let's take a look. We got 5 so far. Cool. 6, numbers going up. Almost there. Really easy to create this. Really easy creating these kind of like backends, APIs. We didn't do any like, you know, merging or anything, but once again, we'll be able to like do table joins. Perhaps that's another route, right? Create another route. It's going to point to another controller, and that controller will then point to a model that does the joining and returns the data. All right? Bloop, boink. That's too funny. Sweet. Looks good. 15. All right. If we were to do the create now. So the create, once again, it's a little easier here, right? I'm gonna minimize the all. And for the find by ID, this I definitely want because it's being used down here. It's still back to the results dot first. That structure, hands down, I want. All right, so this is something that we can copy and paste and put right there. Right? That's okay. We still need to do something else, though. We just can't say, hey, I want to insert into people, because that's not going to work, right? We're going to insert into locations, right? And what are we going to insert into locations? I don't know. We're going to insert street. We're going to insert the city. We're going to insert the state, right? 3 things to insert. And then we just have to match those with our corresponding things. So for the options, we're going to want this to be a street as a string. Now we know that we're not doing any integers, right? So in essence, I could, right here, just put single quotes around this, and I'm following the syntax. Single quotes around that, okay? And in here, change it to be city, comma, copy that, and change that to be state, right? It should, did I do this right? Just want to make sure I got value. This, we're missing at the very end of here a closing parens, which I added here. So I'm going to remove that from here. So as I was doing the copy and paste, once again, you got to be careful. Otherwise, you're going to run into syntactic issues. And then here it's ID. This would be street, right? City, state. I could have, once again, clicked on the spots and did it. This should, I'm going to test it out, and then I'll copy. Actually, you know what? I'll paste it. It looks pretty good.
Do you need to add the return statement in there?
Well, the returning is right here. Oh, yeah, let me take a
Below
look.
that.
Did I return? Oh, I missed the return here. Yeah, so here, when I copied and pasted it, I missed the return statement. So I'm going to go here and edit this to include the return statement. Okay, save changes. Okay. And then we test, right? We're creating something. We're giving it street, city, state. Okay. So here I have something of that format. Right, I'm just going to maybe copy that format. Go to Postman, post locations, give it the data. Once again, I just copied that. I'm going to put this in formatted needs, right? Boom. I just edit this stuff now, right? So I have this. I can say 5 Herman Locks, 5 Not Lane. There we go. Lane Town. All right? Ohio. Right? Jeremy, you're from Ohio or Ohio, right?
Yeah, Columbus, Ohio.
There you go. So I'm going to move right into Lane Town right next to you. Be the guy building crazy knots all the time. So I'm going to test this out. Post it. Send it. Boom. Or boing. One of those. And it works. Right? Anyone test it out? Confirm. No confirmations yet, huh? Here we go. Here they coming in. They're coming in. And the last two, you know, at least delete. That one's crazy easy, right? All you do is change it from people to locations, right? That's an easy one. Okay. So make sure you test that. I'll just add delete if you did test that. There we go. We got delete. Just make sure you can delete it too, and then we'll just work with the last one, the update, and boom. That was easy peasy. As much as I go one apart with 5. Oh, did I do no lane? I meant to do not lane. So I am going to delete no lane and deleted is true. Sweet. Deleted is true. Easy enough. And then the last one's just update. Okay, and for updates, same thing, like this right here. I'm going to copy the whole thing with the returns, so I don't mess it up. Here we go. That's part 1. Oop, get rid of this little S here. Just want to save it. And then part 2 is the SQL command, where we're going to update locations. All right, and so now instead of setting the name, I can kind of easily do this by holding down Command key, going to name here, getting rid of name, and typing in street. All right? Age here, single quote, right? And instead of age, click on that, click after age, and do city. Okay, and we can even go to make it look nicer. We can do set and do this. I'm gonna just tab these both over. Okay, so this city doesn't need that. Okay, just want to make sure I got single quotes in the right place. This, yeah, belongs around that. This city has a single quote there and a single quote there. And then the last one is state. No, the last one is state. Yeah, state. I just do this, click, click, state, get rid of that. And then down here, all we have to do is do street, city, state. Okay. I feel like something is off here. Oh, because this quote goes on the right side of that. Yeah, right side of that. Okay. Okay. I'm going to test it out and then I'll slack it out. Just want to make sure.
I think on line 58 you just have another off quote.
Single quote. Oh yeah, this goes on that side. Thanks for looking out. Eagle eyes there, right? All looks pretty good. Let me just test it out. Just pull one. Oh no, I don't want to delete one. I want to get them all. Which am I going to update? I guess Permalox is still here. Cool. So let's update this. I can just paste that there, get rid of ID, right? And say 5 not lane, right? And that was number 2. I put 2, change that to put, and this should change it to 5 not lane. Save it. So this is all solid right here. And there we go. Sweet.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
Mine is not working. Now I'm getting that same stupid thing with the HTML.
Okay.
I've been copying and pasting, I hope.
Why don't we take a look? So it's 3:30. All right. You want to share your screen? I want to bang this out and then we can take a break before lab.
So when I do it, it just
Okay.
returns the
You're doing the post. All right. What about preview? Go to the preview on the bottom. move your mouse down, click on preview just so we can see string data write truncation and locations controller create. So I'm going to assume, because when I was doing creates, I made a mistake too. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at your, that's update. There's create. All right. So you got self-create ops, insert into locations, street, city, okay, values, that looks good. Ops, city looks good, comma, ops, state looks good, returning ID. Oh, no, yeah, that looks good. ID string, okay, and then return ID results first to string, okay, street, city, state. Looks good.
Can you show the data that you're trying to insert?
Yeah, where's your data? That's a good one too. Did you put any data? Oh yeah, you put it right there. Street, city, and state. That looks good. Value too long for character type varying to. I don't know if that's.
No, I'm saying state needs to be 2 characters long, I think, because of that.
Oh yeah, state is a 2-character thing. You can't do Ohio. You have to do OH.
Oh.
Just like that.
There we go.
I almost feel like just what you typed O, OH was exactly you just got.
Thank you.
Good looking up, Pooja.
Okay, now you can help me with mine then.
Oh, show me. All right. Action controller, invalid authenticity token in locations. All right. Invalid authenticity in locations. Oh, that's a new one, right?
Glad I could give you something new.
Okay. And locations controller create. So this is the create. You look like your object that you're sending is fine. You're doing locations. So let's take a look. You're in the locations model, right? That's the locations model is on the bottom, right? Okay. Insert into locations, street, city, state, values, city. That looks good. Returning ID, city, state. Cool. SQL results first. Street results first. Street. State. Huh. What about the top of your locations? Can you go to your locations controller?
Oh, yeah, right here.
Yeah, go to the top of it. All right, you're missing. So this is what we spoke about authentication, right? Look inside your people's control. Oh, there you go.
Right
That thing there, yeah. It says invalid authenticity token, right? No one's come across that because we all put that in. Now save it and try it.
So why did everything work up until the create? Does it
because it's create
that just for the create?
Yeah, to add something to the database, we need that.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, that's fine. Can you test it? There you go.
Okay, sweet. Thanks.
Sweet. Yeah. No, it's great. All right. Everyone else good? Good so far, right? Awesome. That's what I want to see. This is not so hard. One thing, we could have typed this all out and we would have hit, so many more errors typing things out. I'm not saying that like typing things out, it's a good practice, right? You get good at it. I know you're going to do it again for lab. I know you're going to do it again for homework. So doing this shows you just an efficient way of doing it. You know where you need to look for and format things so you can get to like the nuances really quick versus having to type everything out. It just extends us troubleshooting, which is good. Troubleshooting is good. We fix issues. We understand them. But that time could be invested elsewhere. Cool. So why don't we do this? Let's take a break. It's 4:51. Yeah, we went. So come back at 5:02. 5:02. 5:02.
I have a quick question, Joe.
Yeah, what's up, man?
Just in a case like with this, though, how do we be joining them, though? Because I can almost guarantee that's going to come up in the homework.
Yeah, and that's when, no, the homework isn't to join anything. The homework, I believe, is to do more of this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.